Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. What would your life look like if you stopped giving energy to distractions and started investing all of it in yourself? See, too many people spend their lives watching other people's moves, comparing their journey to somebody else's, and talking about what they're going to do instead of actually doing it. But I came here today to remind you of one truth. Your greatest growth will come when you focus on yourself and stay silent. People often think that if you're quiet, you're weak. They assume that silence means you don't have an opinion, you don't have a plan, or you don't have confidence. But here's the reality: silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom. Silence is focus, and silence is strategy. There's a reason the most powerful moves in life often happen without an announcement. Have you ever noticed how the sun rises every morning? It doesn't make noise. It doesn't call for attention. It doesn't send out a press release. And yet every day without fail, the world knows it's there because of its results. That's how your life should look. Let your results be so consistent, so undeniable that you never have to scream for validation. See, the danger with talking too much is that you open the door for unnecessary voices to plant doubt in your spirit. When you share every detail of your dream, you give people the chance to attack it before it's even born. Not because they're smarter, not because they're wiser, but because they're afraid. Afraid you'll outgrow them, afraid you'll prove them wrong, afraid that your success will remind them of their excuses. That's why silence becomes a shield. It's the protection of your vision while it's still developing. A seed doesn't grow in the open air. It grows buried in the soil, covered and hidden until the roots are strong enough to support the tree. Your dreams are no different. They need the covering of silence until they're strong enough to withstand the storms of criticism. Here's a hook for you. People can't ruin what they don't know. When you move quietly, you keep the power in your hands. You rob the naysayers of ammunition. You eliminate the distractions of other people's opinions. And you preserve the energy you would have wasted explaining yourself to people who aren't even qualified to advise you in the first place. You don't need permission to pursue your calling. You don't need approval to chase your goals. All you need is discipline, consistency, and the courage to let your actions echo louder than your words. The most successful people in the world don't spend their time broadcasting their every move. They're not on social media telling everybody about the deals they're about to close, the books they're about to write, or the businesses they're about to launch. No, they're locked in, building behind the scenes, perfecting their craft, preparing for the moment when the results will speak for themselves. And when that moment comes, the impact is undeniable. The world doesn't respect noise. It respects results. Think about it. Lions don't roar while they're hunting. They move in silence, focused, calculated, deliberate. And when it's time, they strike with precision. That's what makes them the king of the jungle. The roar comes after the victory, not before. Too many people waste their roar before they've caught anything. They talk so much about what they're going to do that they never actually do it. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Don't be that person. Be the one who lets your roar be the sound of results, not empty promises. And here's something you need to remember: silence is not hiding. It's positioning. It's putting yourself in the right place to grow without interference. It's preparing your mind, your spirit, and your habits for the life you're building. Every minute you spend trying to convince others of your greatness is a minute you could have invested in becoming great. Every word you waste on people who don't believe in you is energy stolen from the work that will prove them wrong anyway. So the next time someone asks why you're so quiet, why you're not announcing every move, why you're not sharing every plan, smile and remember this truth silence is strategy. And when you finally unveil what you've been building in the dark, they'll understand why you stayed quiet in the first place. Because the only thing louder than words is undeniable success. Focus is the difference between average and extraordinary. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack focus. They're busy doing 100 different things halfway instead of doing one thing with excellence. Let me tell you something, scattered energy creates scattered results. But when you learn to channel your energy into a single, intentional direction, breakthroughs begin to happen. Focus is the multiplier of success. Focus takes small actions and compounds them into massive results. Think about a magnifying glass. If you hold it over a piece of paper, the sunlight passing through it doesn't do anything unless you hold it steady in one place. But when you focus that light long enough, it creates fire. That's the power of focus. It turns ordinary light into extraordinary heat. And the same thing happens in your life. If you keep moving from one idea to the next, one plan to the next, one distraction to the next, you never give your energy the chance to ignite. But if you focus, if you commit, if you lock in, you create fire that no one can put out. Here's the hook. You don't need more opportunities. You need more focus. Too many people are addicted to chasing opportunities instead of maximizing the ones already in their hands. They get bored when things don't move fast enough, so they jump ship. They chase the next shiny thing, hoping it will be easier, faster, or more exciting. But real breakthroughs don't come from chasing new opportunities every week. They come from digging deep in the same place until you hit gold. People who win are not always the smartest, but they are the most focused. Focus is also about elimination. You cannot focus on everything and expect to excel at anything. Success is not just about what you say yes to, it's about what you're willing to say no to. Every distraction you tolerate steals from your destiny. Every unnecessary commitment drains the energy you need to fuel your calling. And the reason most people never reach their potential is because they try to please everyone, do everything, and be everywhere. Let me be clear, you cannot build your future if you're living for approval in the present. You cannot create a breakthrough if you're constantly breaking your focus. There's a story of how eagles train their young. When the eaglets are ready to fly, the parent eagle begins to remove the soft materials from the nest, leaving only sticks and thorns. Why? Because comfort keeps them grounded, but discomfort forces them to focus on what they were created to do: fly. Some of you have been too comfortable in your distractions, too comfortable in mediocrity, too comfortable in entertainment that does nothing to advance your life. But breakthrough happens when you get uncomfortable enough to say, no more. I'm locking in. I'm focusing on what matters. When you truly focus, something shifts in your spirit. Clarity replaces confusion. Momentum replaces hesitation. Confidence replaces doubt. And the small, consistent actions you take in focus begin to compound into results far greater than you imagined. Focus turns discipline into destiny. Focus turns effort into excellence. Focus is the force that transforms dreams into reality. Don't miss this. Breakthrough doesn't happen because you're busy. It happens because you're focused. You can spend your whole life being busy and still end up nowhere. But if you focus, if you give your full attention to growth, to your calling, to your God-given assignment, you'll find yourself breaking through barriers that used to hold you back. Distraction is the enemy of destiny, but focus is its fuel. So lock in, eliminate the noise. Narrow your vision. Focus creates breakthroughs, and the moment you learn to harness it, you step into a level of success most people only dream about. Talk is cheap, but results are priceless. Anybody can stand up and declare what they're going to do, but the world is not impressed by declarations. It's impressed by demonstration. Results have a language of their own, and they speak louder, clearer, and with more authority than words ever could. People may doubt what you say, but they cannot deny what you produce. And the truth is, most people spend too much time trying to convince others with their mouths instead of proving themselves with their actions. If you want to be respected, stop talking about it and start showing it. Here's the hook: promises make noise, but results make history. The promises people make fade away when time exposes the truth. But results, real results, live forever. Nobody remembers what you said you were going to do last year, last month, or even last week. They only remember what you actually did. They don't replay your announcements. They replay your achievements. That's why it's better to speak and over-deliver than to over-promise and under-perform. The loudest person in the room is rarely the one with the most power. It's usually the quiet one who has the results to back up their confidence. Think about the farmer who plants seeds. He doesn't spend all season talking about how much crop he's going to grow. He plants in silence. He waters in silence. He works in silence. And when harvest season comes, the results do all the talking. His field doesn't lie. His crop doesn't lie. The results reveal the truth. That's how life works. Your harvest speaks louder than your hype. The question is, are you planting enough seeds of discipline, consistency, and an effort so that your results can speak on your behalf? One of the biggest traps people fall into is announcing their goals too soon. Studies even show that when you talk too much about your intentions, your brain feels the same satisfaction as if you actually achieved them. In other words, you can trick yourself into believing you're making progress simply by talking about it. That's why some people stay stuck year after year. They talk so much that they lose the hunger to act. Don't fall into that trap. Save your energy. Put your head down. Let the scoreboard of your life do the talking. Because at the end of the day, nobody argues with results. There's a reason successful people often seem quiet when others are loud. They've learned the secret. The less you say, the more people watch. And the more you produce, the more people respect. You don't need to defend your dream to doubters if you have results that silence them. You don't need to argue with critics when your track record answers every question. Results are the ultimate rebuttal. They are undeniable evidence that your actions were stronger than their opinions. Here's another hook: people may ignore your words, but they can't ignore your wins. Wins demand attention. Wins create influence. Wins shift the conversation. When you produce results, people who once doubted you start asking how you did it. They may not like you, they may not support you, but they cannot deny what you've built. That's the power of results. They change perception without you saying a single word. So instead of spending your time trying to prove yourself verbally, invest that time proving yourself practically. Instead of announcing every move, execute the moves. Instead of begging for validation, build undeniable evidence. Stop telling the world who you are and let your results reveal it. Because the truth is, results are the loudest voice you will ever have, and they speak a language everyone understands: success. The work you do in private will always, echo louder in public. What people see on the outside is just the tip of the iceberg, but what they don't see, the discipline, the sacrifice, the repetition, the practice. That's where greatness is really built. Everyone wants the spotlight, but very few are willing to grind in the shadows. And yet, the shadows are where strength is forged. Private work is the birthplace of public impact. You can't expect to influence the world with excellence if you aren't willing to cultivate excellence when nobody is watching. Here's the hook: public success is always built on private struggle. The speeches you admire, the books that inspire you, the businesses that change lives, all of them were birthed in hours, days, and years of unseen labor. Nobody sees the nights of doubt, the mornings of discipline, the countless failures behind the scenes. But when the breakthrough finally happens, when the results finally show, the world assumes it happened overnight. No, nothing great happens overnight. It happens in the hidden places, in the quiet rooms, in the moments when you could have quit but chose to keep going. Think about the athlete who performs under the lights. When the crowd is cheering, when the cameras are rolling, when the world is watching, it looks effortless. But the performance you see in public is only possible because of the hours they spent in empty gyms, running drills, perfecting techniques, sweating in silence while nobody clapped. That's the part most people miss. They want the stage, but not the sweat. They want the crown, but not the cross. They want the applause without the preparation. But here's the truth. You can only have public impact if you've done private work. Private work also builds character, and character is the foundation of lasting success. If your public platform is bigger than your private discipline, your platform will eventually crush you. That's why it's dangerous to chase exposure without preparation. Fame without foundation is failure in disguise. You have to prepare yourself in private for the weight of what you're asking for in public. You can't ask God to enlarge your territory if you aren't willing to enlarge your capacity in the dark. Here's another hook. What you practice in private, you will perform in public. If you practice discipline privately, you'll display excellence publicly. If you practice laziness privately, you'll display mediocrity publicly. The stage doesn't change you. It reveals you. The spotlight doesn't create your habits. It magnifies them. That's why you can't afford to fake it when nobody's looking. The real you will always show up when the pressure is on. There's a story about bamboo that I love. When you plant bamboo, nothing seems to happen for years. You water it, nurture it, care for it, but it looks like the ground is barren. And then, almost suddenly, it shoots up and grows 80 feet in just a few weeks. But did it really grow overnight? No. It was growing underground, in the hidden place, building a root system strong enough to support its height. That's exactly how your life works. The years of private work may not look like much to others, but you're building roots. And when the time comes, your public impact will be so rapid, so undeniable, that people will think it happened suddenly. But you'll know it was years in the making. So don't despise the hidden season. Don't resent the private grind. Don't get discouraged because nobody's clapping for you yet. The applause will come. The recognition will come. But only if you stay faithful in the shadows. Because private work always creates public impact. And the world will only see what you've been faithfully building in silence. Destiny is not built in the noise of the crowd, but in the quiet of your discipline. The moments nobody sees, the choices nobody applauds, the sacrifices nobody acknowledges. That's where your future is being shaped. Discipline in silence is the foundation of every great destiny. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. But it's the single most powerful habit you can master. Because destiny is never the product of occasional effort. It's the result of consistent discipline repeated over and over again, even when nobody is watching. Here's the hook. Applause feels good, but discipline builds greatness. If the only time you show up is when people are watching, you'll never rise above average. The real measure of a person is what they do in the silence, when there's no audience, no validation, no one checking in. Do you still do the work when nobody is looking? Do you still honor your commitments when no one is keeping score? That's what separates the people who dream of success from the ones who actually live it. Most people sabotage their own destiny because they depend on external motivation. They need the crowd, they need the recognition, they need the hype. But when the hype disappears, so does their discipline. That's why discipline in silence is so powerful. It makes you independent of applause. It means your consistency doesn't rely on someone else's approval. And when your discipline no longer depends on motivation, that's when it becomes unstoppable. Think about a sculptor working on a masterpiece. The world doesn't see the hours spent chiseling stone, removing fragments piece by piece. They only see the statue once it's finished. But the statue didn't appear overnight. It was created in silence through patient, disciplined effort. And that's how destiny works. The masterpiece of your life is shaped in the silent hours of discipline, when you refuse to quit, when you refuse to compromise, when you keep showing up even though no one notices. Here's another hook. Silent discipline creates loud victories. The greatest athletes don't win championships on game day. They win them in the weight room, in the early mornings, in the extra reps nobody claps for. The game only reveals the preparation. The business leader doesn't succeed because of one big presentation. They succeed because of countless hours of silent preparation, building skills, studying, practicing. By the time the spotlight hits, their discipline has already built the destiny they're now stepping into. The problem with most people is they underestimate the silent seasons. They think if nobody sees it, it doesn't matter. But the silent seasons matter most. They test your character. They build your foundation. They prove whether you're truly committed to your destiny or just interested in looking committed. If you can be disciplined in silence, you can be trusted with greatness in the open, because the spotlight magnifies whatever foundation you've built in private. Discipline is also the bridge between who you are and who you're called to be. It's the daily grind of aligning your actions with your assignment. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you're building that bridge. Every time you say no to temptation and yes to focus, you're laying another brick toward destiny. And nobody may ever see you laying those bricks, but when you finally cross that bridge, the world will see the life you built one silent decision at a time. So stop waiting for the cheerleaders. Stop waiting for the validation. Stop waiting for the moment to feel right. Discipline doesn't wait on feelings. Discipline creates results. And in the silence of your consistent actions, your destiny is being written. Silent discipline builds loud legacies. And the world will one day see what you've been faithfully building in the dark. The world is full of noise. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has advice. Everybody has something to say about how you should live your life. And if you're not careful, you'll spend all your energy arguing with people who don't matter, trying to defend yourself to people who don't believe in you, and wasting time explaining your vision to people who could never understand it. But the truth is, you don't have to prove yourself with words. You don't have to fight every critic. You don't have to silence your doubters with debates. The best response you can ever give to a world full of noise is undeniable success. Because success has a voice that cuts through every argument, every doubt, and every opinion. Here's the hook. Success doesn't need a microphone. It carries its own echo. When you succeed, people who never believed in you are forced to acknowledge it. They may not like you, they may not clap for you, but they cannot deny the results standing in front of them. That's why the greatest revenge against doubt, the greatest answer to criticism, and the greatest rebuttal to negativity is success itself. Success speaks a universal language that everyone understands: achievement. When you let success be your voice, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to prove yourself with words. Words can be twisted, ignored, or dismissed, but results cannot. You don't have to argue with someone about whether or not you're capable if you already have the results that prove it. You don't have to convince anyone of your value if your success is already displaying it. People can debate your opinion, but they cannot debate your fruit. And fruit is grown in the soil of consistency, watered with discipline, and harvested with patience. Think about it this way: when a tree bears fruit, it doesn't announce it to the world. It doesn't say, "Look at me, I've been growing all season." It just produces fruit. And when people see that fruit, they know the tree is healthy, strong, and productive. Your life should be the same. Stop telling people what you're going to do. Just produce fruit. Let your success be so obvious that nobody needs a speech to recognize it. Another hook: success silences noise without you ever opening your mouth. The critic who once laughed at you won't have anything to say when they see your results. The doubter who once told you it couldn't be done won't be able to argue when you've already done it. The same people who once dismissed you will have no choice but to respect the voice of your success. And the beauty of it all is that you didn't waste a single ounce of energy debating with them. You just stayed consistent, disciplined, and focused until your success spoke for you. What most people don't realize is that arguing with doubters actually lowers your power. The moment you start defending yourself, you've already given them authority. But when you keep your focus, stay silent, and let your results do the talking, you keep the power in your hands. Your success becomes the testimony of your discipline. Your achievements become the evidence of your faith. Your progress becomes the megaphone that drowns out every critic. So the next time someone questions your ability, don't get frustrated. Don't get defensive. Don't waste time explaining yourself. Just keep building, keep grinding, keep growing. And when the time comes, let your results walk into the room before you do. Let your success make the announcement. Let your success carry the weight of your voice. Because in the end, success is the loudest voice you'll ever have. And once it speaks, the world has no choice but to listen.